Good morning. Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. So just call me, call me, call me, call me. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, the colors of the rainbow are so pretty, and the sky are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Good morning, Unity. Good morning. I hope everyone has been having a wonderful and beautiful morning. My name is Samira Foster, and I'm going to be giving a speech about my spiritual journey. It's called A Higher Power. The first grade was the most life-changing year in school for me for the most unconventional of reasons. While all of my classmates were concerned with the fact that nap time no longer existed, or who the teacher was going to appoint to be the line leader of the week, I was more worried with issues and matters that reached deep into my 6-year-old maturity. December 3rd, 2003 is the day that my mother, Karen Brown Foster, died. I remember it with crystal clarity. My Aunt Sadie, who had been helping my parents and I due to my mother's sickness, picked me up from school for early dismissal. At the time, I knew that my mother was sick, but I couldn't quite comprehend the level of severity of the illness. What I was not aware of was that over the past 3 years, my mom had developed breast cancer, a disease that was far beyond the limits of my innocent mind. As my aunt drove further away from school, I could sense that something wasn't quite right. When I asked where we were going, my aunt said that we were going to the hospital to visit my mom. Of course, I began to ask questions, as any inquisitive child of my age would. However, none of her carefully contemplated answers could satisfy me. As we drove on in silence, I began to play with the barrettes in my hair, snapping them open and closed to calm my nervous energy. When we finally got to the hospital, my aunt walked me to my father, who was standing outside of my mother's room. When we reached him, my aunt rubbed my back in a few circular motions, kissed my forehead, and walked away. I looked up at my father, who was trying to keep his composure on the outside, but was crying out in grievance on the inside. When he led me into my mother's room, he said, "Sweetie, Daddy loves you with all of his heart, and so does Mommy, but God has called her back to heaven." Upon hearing these words, I couldn't quite comprehend what it meant. It wasn't until I went into my mother's room that I finally understood what was going on. My mother was sleeping, and she simply was not going to wake up, no matter how much I pleaded or cried or yearned for her. This, however, is when I started maturing at an early age. At that point, I began to look at life as the glass being half full instead of being half empty. Instead of letting the fact that I was being robbed of my mother consume me, I had to think of the fact that she wasn't suffering anymore. Instead of beating myself up because I didn't get the chance to say goodbye, I had to believe that my mother was in a better place and that this cold, cruel world couldn't hurt her anymore. But most importantly, instead of thinking that every day that I wake up without a mother and of all the memories that we won't have and of how all the kids around me appear to be going home to 2 parents instead of 1, I had to remember that when all odds are against me, God will lead me in the right direction and that my mother is in a better place. Having faith has taught me that my mother will live on forever in my heart, and she will watch over me as I co-create my path with God. Holding this realization near and dear to my heart is what ended up helping me endure some tough situations that life brought. At the age of 8, God brought another woman into my life. She raised me as if I were her own child. We didn't always agree, and we didn't have the easiest relationship, as do most mothers and daughters, but she brought structure into my life. She helped make me the disciplined person that I am today. Because let me tell you, I was a rambunctious child as I was growing up. She also was able to open my life to new cultural experiences and was an influential figure in my family moving to Washington, D.C. When she and my father were married, I finally felt as though my family was starting to become whole again, but our triumph was short-lived. The poem that I'm about to read to you is one that I wrote during the spring of 2014, which is a time period that challenged me both mentally and emotionally. It's called What is Life? And it goes like this. What is life? That is my question. Don't tell me how to live it, because I don't want your suggestions. What is life? Through the ups and the downs, we all need somebody who will still be around. What is life? I'm begging you, please, through the pain and the confusion that brings people down to their knees. What do you do when all is broken? When you can't take back the words that you have spoken? When tears shed endlessly down your face in streams? when all you see is darkness and your once happy dreams, when you watch a breathtaking sunrise and you can see no hope, when you slip slowly through the cracks and you don't try to cope with the struggles you are facing, the fears the one embracing, and the worries that are encasing you. Just one person, standing all alone, singing sad songs, dying on the inside, thinking I can't go on. Torn between what is seen and unseen, struck by the known and the unknown, questioning the truth from the lies, not knowing what to do, so you live on standby. You're waiting and thinking and judging. But now it is not just only you, because there are others that are impacted by your decisions too. They're watching, their eyes are on you like a hawk. They're waiting, but soon there is no time left to be bought. And as you're still sitting there thinking, what do I do? What can I do? What should I do? The thoughts surround you with aggression. From them there is no protection as they spin your mind in countless directions. So what is life, and what has mine come to? I still don't know, but there is nothing that I can undo. At this time in my life, I turned to poetry, and I used this poem to express the thoughts and the feelings that I was too scared to just say outright. It was the embodiment of my thoughts, my anxieties, my desperations, and my overall state of being. When I wrote this poem, my parents were going through a divorce, and being an only child, I was unintentionally placed in the middle of it. It was more often than not that I thought that the presence of a loving child was strong enough to be the glue that held our family together. And it worked for some years leading up to their separation, but I alone could not patch up their relationship. It was not my place to do so, but I felt a personal responsibility to attempt in my best efforts to keep my family from falling apart for the second time in my life. I initially fought for this as much as I could because I had already lost one mother, and the thought of losing another had taken me to a place that was dark, and I thought that I wasn't going to be able to withstand it mentally nor emotionally. Then I realized that everything happens for a reason, and I had to let my parents do what they had to do, even if that meant getting a divorce. It was a difficult conclusion to come to, and the end result was not pretty, as you can imagine, but enduring another hardship within my immediate family is what ultimately made me stronger. Events such as these can make you or break you, and it's all about the perspective in which you can perceive them. While it took some time for me to look at these occurrences in a light other than one in which I made myself a victim, I soon learned that while some people could see these as tragedies and as weaknesses, I would have to rise above and see them as strengths. That is what made me the person that I am today, and I am proud of this person. Throughout these times, I've had to hold my faith high, but at times, I've held it high and in confusion. I've never truly known what to believe when it came to religion. All I knew is that I believed in a higher power and that having faith is what helped us through our times of despair. I've gone to more churches than I can count on my 10 fingers and my 10 toes, but it wasn't until I came to Unity about 2 years ago that I really started to understand the bigger picture. I have not initially grown up with the Unity principles, as most of you may know, because I'm a relatively new face here, but learning about co-creation opened me up to a new way of religious thinking that I had not previously explored. This church helped me because they don't preach about how if you do A, B, and C, you're automatically going to be damned to hell. It's because of sermons like this that I began to dislike organized religion. And to some extent, I still do, because religion, in my opinion, can be biased and is man-made. At times, I would like to consider myself as more spiritual than I am religious, but Unity embodies the religious beliefs that I want to live my life by. One of the Unity principles that has helped me most is that of co-creation. Psalms chapter 90, verse 2 says, "Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God." To me, this means that God lives within you, and God lives within me. Co-creation is the belief that God and I are both one. In other words, when I believe that it will happen, and I believe in God, it will eventually happen. It's all about faith and patience, and while I still need to work on patience at times, I feel more at peace with my religion than I have in a long time. All the years that I grew up without unity, I knew that I could always pray, and I knew that my burdens would be taken away. But now I also know that I can think and will things into existence and work with God to create my path to success. When I originally joined Unity, my parents were freshly divorced and I was going through shared custody. Eventually, shared custody turned into just living with my father. And I'm not going to go into too great details of that, but it was a time that tested me in ways that I had never been tested in before. God presented me with a fork in the road, and when I gathered my strength, my response was to use this setback as a launching forward to fuel my determination to succeed, and that is exactly what I did. In the fall of 2015, I am proud to say that I will attend Elon University on a presidential scholarship, which is ranked as the number one. Thank you. Which is ranked as the number one school in the South while having graduated from School Without Walls Senior High School, the number one school in the District of Columbia with a 3.75 unweighted GPA. I'm currently on track to follow my aspirations of going to medical school and becoming an anesthesiologist, as I'm majoring in biology with a minor in criminal justice so that I can do my best to save lives and to prevent other children from the pain and suffering that comes with the loss of a loved one. My road to success, however, would be nothing without the love and support of my father. He has been there for me, since August 24th, 1997, at 9:39 in the morning, when I first came into this world. And he has not once turned his back on me. Even though God called my mom home earlier than expected, he provided me with the best father that a girl could have ever asked for. And I have more gratitude, love, and appreciation for my father than I do for anybody else in this world. I have such high respect for him. So, Dad, thank you for everything, and I promise that I'm going to continue to make you and Karen proud. Peace, love, and blessings.
Hello again. I used to think that I could not go on, and life was nothing but an awful song. But now I know the meaning of true love. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. If I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. See, I was on the verge of breaking down. Some silence can seem so loud, but there are miracles in life I must achieve. But first I know it starts inside of me. Oh, if I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about